What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And today I have pretty much more of a ranting video. And first and foremost, before I get into it, I want to say thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed lately. I'm almost at my goal of 100 subscribers, and I want to get to that before the end of the year. And the fact that I'm 16 away, and we're about to hit the end of April is awesome. So thank you so much for every single person who has subscribed. Thank you so much. Why not help me hit that goal? Subscribe down below. But anyway, first off, the gameplay you're watching right now is not me playing. This is one of my favorite YouTubers, AfroSenju. Love him. Link to his channel down below. Always a great time to watch his videos while I'm playing Elden Ring. But today, this is an idea that I've been working on. Sorry, kind of dealing with being a little sick here. Sorry, getting over a sickness, but this video stemmed from watching another YouTuber that I don't know how I feel about him yet. It's the Synthetic Man. He has very interesting takes, and some of his takes have really made me want to make have a video, which is your opinion matters. Your views and opinions on games matter, and you shouldn't give a shit about what other people say. If you love a game, that is what is important. I don't give a shit if everyone hates it. As long as you love it, that's what's important. And his last video made me really, really want to make this, which was his take on Elden Ring. His almost 2-hour-long video on Elden Ring. And basically, the title of his video was, Elden Ring is not a masterpiece. And he basically went on this huge rant about the good things and the bad things about Elden Ring. His most common points are that this is just Dark Souls 3.5, Dark Souls 4. It's not really a new game, per se. And that this game is not a masterpiece. In fact, this game is far from it. And to be honest with you, I think I'm starting to realize I'm getting to a point in my life where I just want to have fun with games. You know, I just want to sit down after a hard day's work, when I'm not feeling well and I'm feeling depressed, and I just want to get, just absorbed into a world that's not here. Like Elden Ring, I can spend hours playing Elden Ring. I can play all these other games with my friends and just have fun, because that's the point of a game, is to have fun. Now, do I think there's such thing as a masterpiece, like a perfect game that's a 10 out of 10? There's no such thing as a flawless game. Every person will tell you there's no such thing as a perfect game. There's no such thing as a perfect movie. There's no such thing as perfect. Because everyone will always have a problem with everything. For every one person that loves Elden Ring and thinks it's the greatest game of all time, there's going to be a person that absolutely hates Elden Ring and thinks it's absolute trash. So to his point, is Elden Ring a masterpiece? Probably not. But is it one of the greatest games that has come out in years? And in my opinion, one of my favorite games of all time? Absolutely. Just like for him, Spyro 2, I think what it was, and Resident Evil 4 are two of his favorite games of all time, and what he claims are masterpieces. Now, I can't stand Resident Evil 4. Do I think it has a neat premise? Yeah. But I have tried playing that game so many times, and I cannot stand it. For reasons, like the controls, the environments, puzzles, that's not my thing. But am I going to shit on somebody for loving that game? No, I'm not. Because at the end of the day, if you love a game, then you love it. And it's just... I'm starting to get, I feel like, to the end of my playthrough with Elden Ring. And it is kind of a grind near the end. I will admit he has some points. Some. Like, how the storylines could be a little bit easier to follow since there's so many of them in comparison to previous From Software games. But in the end, guess what? I can just look up a guide online, and that's going to point me in the direction, and I'm fine with it. Now, are the bosses, a lot of the bosses being copy and paste, does that bother me? No, because it's still fun. Could you look at it as lazy? Yeah, you could. But at the end of the day, as long as I'm having fun, that's what matters. This game is so huge. And that's another thing he commented on, is that the game is too big. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of empty space in the game, but guess what? There's just so much to explore, and the fact that I kept finding newer places, and when I thought I was getting to the end of the map and a whole another section popped up, that was amazing. That was so much fun and exciting. So that's what I don't understand about, certain people, that are hating on this game for having too much content when there are other games that don't have enough content that I feel like is worth the $60. Like, for me, the fact that I paid $60 for this game that I'm now getting 100 hours out of, perfect. That is, to me, that is worth the value. I've bought in games that are $60 and I've only gotten like 4 hours out of. But, once again, it goes back down to opinions. Some people will say that 4-hour experience is worth every second, and worth every dollar of that $60, while other people would say that was a waste of time and they would have waited waste of money, not time, waste of money, and would have waited for a sale to get that. Other big games, Last of Us Part 2, that game is full of controversy. So many people hate on that game. You know what? And I'll agree, and I'll admit, I do not like The Last of Us Part 2. I think The Last of Us Part 2 is a terrible game that completely shits on everything that I loved about the first game. Story is god-awful. The gameplay is great. Graphics are great. Story is trash. And that is my opinion. Now, there are other people that absolutely love the game, and I've talked to a lot of my friends who have played it, and I get a lot of the same thing. People say they love it, people say they hate it. Cool. That's the beauty of gaming. Everything is subjective. Everyone has their opinions. I don't like Fortnite. I think games like Fortnite, Apex Legends, live service games are absolute trash and should not exist. But then there are people that only play live service games and feel like all the money they're putting into it is absolutely worth it. I do not enjoy the first BioShock game. You know what? I love the story and I get why people like it and I respect it. But if I had to pick a BioShock game to play, I'm not picking one. I'm going to pick BioShock 2, which in my opinion is my favorite, or BioShock Infinite, just because it's a fun, it's a fun shooter. And that's fine. Some people look at me like I'm crazy for not liking the first BioShock. I respect the story. I think when it first came out, that whole surprise twist at the end is amazing. I respect what the game does. I respect it. It's just, I think BioShock 2 took everything about that game and just made it better. Maybe the story's not as good, but still a great game, and it's the game that I've played the most out of all the BioShock games. That's the game I've beaten the most, and my personal favorite. But, there's going to be some guy out there that loves BioShock Infinite, even though I think BioShock Infinite was a great story. But it's as wide as an ocean, deep as a puddle, Pokemon games. People shit on the Pokemon franchise. I love Pokemon. I think some of the recent games have been a little slacking. I think the Game Freak can be lazy, or I guess has been lately. Lazy lately. But at the end of the day, they're still good. They're still feel-good games. Everyone's got their opinion. Like you see Resident Evil here, linked to the channel and the gameplay down below, because I did not capture this either, but I don't like Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 7 is my personal favorite, and Resident Evil 8's probably my second favorite. I prefer those games because the controls are just better. I don't give a shit about graphics. And that's something else that Synthetic Man bitches about all the time, is that Zoomers don't like old games because of graphics. No, it's just a lot of them didn't have access to these older games, and the gameplay on some of these older games is bad. For example, I hate the gameplay in Resident Evil 4 because it's so slow. You can't move while shooting or aiming a gun. That's not realistic. You know, I know we're talking about video games here, but realistic as in like any... That's not a very difficult thing to do. I know that the game, why they wanted to do it that way, but to me, that's not... I don't like that. I will play almost any other newer Resident Evil game over the older ones because that's just my personal preference. Now, do I think these games are bad? Like Resident Evil 1 through 4, do I think they're bad? Or 5 and 6? No, I don't think they're bad games. In fact, I actually played through Resident Evil 6 with a friend of mine recently, and the game is bad, gameplay-wise, but it's still a fun time with friends. People shit on Dead Space 3, and I actually just finished a playthrough with one of my good friends for like the 7th time we've played this game, and Dead Space 3 is one of my favorite co-op experiences, and people shit on that game. And that's fine. Is it as good as the previous 2 Dead Space games? If we're looking at horror alone, no, it's not. But is it a fun experience that I can sit back and enjoy with a friend? Absolutely. So I guess what I'm trying to get at with this video is that gaming, at the end of the day, is subjective. Synthetic Man is perfectly okay with having his opinion, as should every person that has played Elden Ring and thinks it's absolute shit for valid reasons. You know, if you say a game's shit and you haven't played it, no. I refuse to accept your opinion because you cannot have an opinion unless you play the game. That is a fact. I don't care what people say. You have to play something, you have to watch something, you have to listen to something before you can have an actual opinion. Because then your opinion has no valid standing, you know? At the end of the day, your opinion is what matters. Now, I believe that certain games are kind of going downhill because they're trying to resonate with a wider audience, and they're trying to bring in an audience that wasn't there previously, and that can sometimes water the game down. Absolutely. I think a lot of games nowadays are so copy and paste, like every open world game follows the same recipe, that when Elden Ring came out, everyone who worked on other games shat on it because it didn't follow what every other open world game does, but yet it was getting higher reviews. Yeah, it's because we're getting sick of the same thing over and over again. Do something new. Gamers are not idiots. We can figure stuff out. We don't need our hand held every single game. Trust us. We're smarter than that. I guess what I'm trying to get at, and like I said, this video is mostly a rant type video. Do what makes you happy. Play the games that make you happy. And fuck anyone else who disagrees. I know people disagree with my opinions. I'll disagree with theirs. But you know, at the end of the day, as long as you're having fun, that's what's important. And if you don't like a game, don't buy it. It's that simple. You don't need to complain and bitch about it. And if you bought a game and you want to shit on it, that's fine. Give your opinion. That's what every person on YouTube who reviews games does. They give their own opinions. But at the end of the day, have fun. And if you don't enjoy the game, say your piece. And to say, hey, you know what? It's not for me. Not every game is going to be meant for every single person as much as some people want it to be. There are going to be games for certain people, and that's great. Good for them. I don't like sports games. I don't like racing games. I don't like most military shooters. Cool. There's a market for that. I like JRPGs, RPGs, horror games. Those are my type of games, and they're not going to be for everybody. So at the end of the day, I love Elden Ring. I love Bioshock 2. I don't enjoy Grand Theft Auto 5. And that's fine. At the end of the day, just be happy, play the games you love, and just don't ruin it for everyone else. Okay? Thank you guys so much for watching this rant. What are your opinions down below? What are some of your favorite games that everyone else seems to hate? Or what are some games that you absolutely hate that everyone else loves? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of your day.